tiwe na musron tropo na monyre tipro ko de no no kombo o samokron pena fanonye nyono komwe ya siatia munombo yenu mona to your wedgie, you know where, Cletty, wetty, wetly, oh, Mungo man, Penade, way, oh, Muna, we won't, oh, Munje too, yeah, more die.
Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is Roundtable Africa. I am Sekou Kele, your host, and I'm very happy to bring you this edition of our broadcast. We are discussing an interesting topic today. Our topic for today is toxic masculinity. Very, very controversial topic. As you can see, my co-host, Edward Amara, is not here with me today. He's due to some unavoidable circumstances. He will not be here. And I will be discussing this topic alone. Very, very interesting topic. Toxic masculinity. What is toxic masculinity? It's a very, very controversial subject, but I felt that we have to bring it out here and discuss it as men. Somehow I don't see it on my screen. I hope the viewers are able to see it because I'm trying to make sure that it's showing on the screen. So I don't know, for some reason I don't see it on my screen. So the topic, like I told you, is toxic masculinity. So what is toxic masculinity? That's what we want to go into today. As you all may be aware, this is a very controversial subject, but that is worth discussing. All over in the Western world, this topic is being discussed. The topics of feminism, the topic of toxic masculinity. Somebody said, I think it's been shown on the screen. So this subject is very important for us to discuss it. And all men, make sure you grab your popcorn, grab your drink, and sit down. Let's have this roundtable discussion. What is toxic masculinity? So as you all may be aware, men have a lot of challenges when it comes to their personal lives, when it comes to their relationship with the society, and when it also comes to with their relationship with the female opposite sex of themselves. So that's where this subject of toxic masculinity comes in. So let's define toxic masculinity. It is that expectation that society have on the man. What is an ideal man, or what a man is supposed to be, what being man is all about. So society have provided some kind of a definition. So in a society, when something hurts you, they say, oh, don't cry, be a man. When you want to do something tough, they say, oh, you have to do this, you be a man. So there is this definition of what it is to be a man. There is a definition that society, an expectation of what it is to be a man. Is it real? Is it real okay? Is it toxic? Is it dangerous sometimes for we the men? Or does it sometimes affect us emotionally, psychologically? And does it also even affect our relationship with the female? So this is what we are looking at. So more basically, with this expectation of society on what it is to be a man is what constitutes what we call toxic masculinity. And usually you find out that men are not allowed to do certain things. And there are certain things they say men are supposed to do. Number one, there's in some society, they say men are not supposed to cry. So don't cry, man, you are a man. Men are supposed to take in pain and smile in the presence of sorrow, and also try to pretend that they are okay when they are not okay. And they should try to keep pain within their heart, even when it is not okay to do so. So by carrying this pain, they transfer this pain to people around them. They transfer this anger that they are hiding within themselves. They transfer it to other people around them. So that's what the toxic masculinity is all about. As a man, you're supposed to be tough. You are supposed to be that tough, angry man. You are supposed to be that very violent guy that shows physical strength. And these are things that society put out there. So most of the time, as young boys, you grow up in an typical African society, and you start a relationship, and the relationship is going bad. But because you feel you are a man, so you are not supposed to seek advice. You are not supposed to talk to your parents. You are not supposed to talk to your mom and people around you and say, I'm going through this. There's something happening to me. There is this happening to me. You don't think it's necessary because the society say you are a man. You can do this. You should not explain your pain. You should not express yourself. You should not tell people that you are going through. You should not cry when you are supposed to cry. You should not express your emotion. That shows that you are weak. So as a result of that, we have people, men making a lot of mistakes, men carrying a lot of anger, men carrying a lot of violence, men carrying a lot of baggages in their relationship. Even when they get married, you become that man that you have to be a tough man. Don't smile. Make your woman to be scary. Your woman have to be scared of you. That's what make you a man. You should speak in the house like a dictator. That's what make you a strong man. Your word is a Bible. Your word is the final because you are the man. So these are the kind of expectations that society put on us. But is it really right? What does the African culture have to say about this? This is what we are going to look into. Because to be frank with you, to be a man is that they are trying to give us that because we have physical strength. So that physical strength is equal to power. No, physical strength is not equal to power. Power is the ability to control agencies without even using physical strength. That's why you have people who have financial power. People have political power. People have economic power. They don't use physical strength. They are power control agencies. So men, sometimes we don't even have power, but we are told to exercise strength. And sometimes strength without wisdom is a waste of time. So this is what has been happening to most of us men. We've been using this strength up and down. They say the society says we are men. We are supposed to be men, and we are supposed to be toxic. We are supposed to just show that power and strength, and we are supposed to oppress other people around us. That's what's going to show that we are strong and powerful men. Actually, this is not what an ideal man is supposed to be, in my view, because some of the most powerful people that we ever have on earth, even from your religion, from the history of politics. Let's take a people like Martin Luther King, for example, who struggled for the civil rights movement in the United States. Was it strength or it was his mental power? It was not strength. It was not that he was using that forceful masculinity to get what he wanted. He was using wisdom. So the ability for men now to realize at this age that we have come, that it is time for men to use more of wisdom and to gain power instead of using physical strength and becoming more destructive in our society and both our relationship towards our fellow female. If anybody says a man is not supposed to be respectful, a man is just supposed to be tough, they are not giving you a real idea of what a man's supposed to be. If someone said a man's supposed to be rigid, supposed to be self-willed, he's not supposed to change his decision. He's just supposed to be that self-willed, rigid, iron-faced guy. That's what makes you to be a strong man. I'm saying the person is not really telling you what a real man is supposed to be, because a real man uses wisdom, has value, has some morality, competence, character. It's those things that constitute a man. It's not violence. It's not ability to use physical strength. It's not the ability, because, people always forget the thing that, out there, the most powerful people in the world, how do you think how powerful they are? You think it's their physical strength and their muscles, their ability to knock people down? That's what makes them powerful? No, it's not that. It is their ability to have power and power control agencies. And how do you get power? You get power through qualification, through education, through good attitude, through good morality, having culture, having competence, and working hard. It's not about oppressing other people. It's not about looking violent. It's not about you appearing to be that dangerous guy when people see they are scared of you. It is toxic. It doesn't make you tough. It doesn't make you strong. It is only going to make you to look weak and weak and weak and weak. Some men think that by oppressing, for example, the female, because the female physically, maybe you are stronger than the female, then by oppressing the female or beating her physically, that make you to look strong. No, it actually make you to look weak. It make you to look lazy. It make you to be lesser of a man. Being a man was supposed to make you to have the mental power, to have the capacity to understand, to lift people up, to ability to respect the other who does not look like you or does not as physically fit as you, but your ability to give them their own respect and their own space is what makes you a strong person. So that's why we are really discussing this topic today, the issue of toxic masculinity. So that brings us to the second question here. Is the man superior to woman? This topic is very, very important in the age of feminism, in the age of a liberal democracy. The societies are changing very fast. And what people are forgetting to know, when there are social changes like this, the psychology of people is changing, society is changing. Every culture has the responsibility to respond to that change. If you do not respond to the change, what's going to happen is that your own society will definitely pick up other people's values and cut and paste it to their own values, because they were looking for solution to a particular problem at a certain age, and you did not provide solution. Okay, I will give you a few examples. We are now in the age of science and technology, and there is social media. A lot of things is going on. People are exposed to information that they were not exposed to before. There's a lot going on about women's rights. There's a lot going on about equality. There's a lot going on about feminism. So if every society now have to provide an explanation to these radical changes that are coming, if you don't provide an explanation to the younger generation, then they pick anything from the internet and then put it into their relationship. They will pick up anything from the internet and put it into their marriages. They will pick up anything from the internet and then use it for their personal life. That's why you find conflicts in our African society, conflict, because we are not adapting to the new changes that are happening. The society is changing so fast that we have to provide answers for the younger generation to be able to understand where does our culture stand. What is the explanation that our culture gave to this phenomenon? So we come to the issue of superiority between men and women. Who is superior? So if you are familiar with all religious texts, Quran, Bible, they said the man is the head of the house. This is the language which we've received from this religion that crept into Africa. The man is the head of the house. Fine. Then they also tell you again that the man was first to be created by God. So all these things are roles. They are trying to now give you a justification of why the man is head of the house. They say man was created first. Then the woman was created later. So the woman, and in the biblical and Quranic stories, the woman was the cause of evil coming into the world, because through Eve eating apple and what have you. So these things set the stage to bring about stigmatization, to say the man now is the symbol of God Almighty, and this woman is a symbol of a lesser being who God created, and she's a troublemaker, and she is that type of a being that was created to just create to manifest evil. Now, what does our culture say as Black people? Now, we do not have such stories. Fortunately, we do not have. But we have oppression of women, yeah, of course. But we do not have these stories that set the stage to say God created man first, and then a man is not superior. Man is superior to woman. What we have in African creation story, I will cite, for example, the Dogon of Mali, who have a written text. You find out that there is the men and the women were created at the same time. This is what you find. You also find in most African cultures, it is stated that the male and the female were created simultaneously. The creator just created these twins at the same time. What that shows is that in the sight of God, in the sight of divinity and culture, it should be understood intellectually, women and men are equal when they come to the intellectual, a cultural level. That's why in African, what's so-called secret society, you always find every institution created for men, there is an equal one created for women. In Liberia, you would take the Poro and the Sunday Society as an example. Every society that African create, they create a female agency that complements that particular organization. So what they are trying to tell you is that these are different sex, but same being, equal intellectually, but they have different roles in society to play, okay, but they are not intellectually, there's no one intellectually inferior or other one intellectually superior. Whatever the man can do, whether when they come to intellectual level, a woman can do it. There has never been any scientific research that show that women cannot do certain things because they are intellectually inferior. That has not been proven anywhere. If you have a male scientist, you can have female scientists. If a man can be a pilot, women can be pilot. We all have the same intellectual capacity. So scientifically, that has been established. Culturally, we also know in the African society that the women have never been considered inferior. They have always been considered as equal partner to the men. Now, when it comes to role, because a family is an organization, family is an institution, so there are different roles. In an ideal African family, we find that in the agricultural family, for example, those that practice agriculture, you find out that the man is the farmer. He wakes up very early in the morning. He goes out there to farm. 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, he's out. So that similar hour, the woman stays home and then she takes care. Sometimes she joins the man later on the farm. So they share the hours. So this is what we call complementarity. They complement each other. The man goes maybe early in the morning, as early as 4 or 5, and they find the woman joins him later. Because why? She got other responsibility back home, and she maybe the kid or what have you, then she joined him later. They're on the farm together. Maybe she even closed from the farm. She closes earlier than the man. Come back home. Why? She need extra hour to maybe to do certain other thing. So they share the hour. In the time of harvest, You find out that when the harvesting time comes, sometimes the women go earlier to the farm. They get the harvesting, then they come home earlier. Maybe they go to the market. They sell. The woman in charge of the money. So you can see that already the African tradition has set out the stage to show you a complementarity. That the woman is not just housewife, locked up. No, she can be a professional. She can also participate in the economic activity of the, and you guys can share responsibility. So there has been no idea of superior and inferior, because we find out in the toxic masculinity idea that most men now, they can beat their wife and say that I'm African man. That's what it means. They can oppress your wife and say, I'm an African man. And they are not quoting any African tradition in particular. They keep saying, I'm an African man, that's why I'm doing this. I'm an African man, that's what I'm doing this. In what tradition are you quoting? Because when you look at the African tradition, even the creation stories all over Africa, you find the deities that were sent to create the world were male and female. That's why you have goddesses all over Africa, female gods. Why? Because they are showing you that the divine power can manifest as female or as male. Divinity is not maintained for only the men. Okay? Divinity is not exclusive for men. There are divine female. That's why you have goddesses all over the continent. You have gods and goddesses. Gods and goddesses. There's a reason they did that. They were trying to tell you that the creator cannot be a fixed agenda. You cannot fix agenda on the creator. That is a human doing. It is human being who decided to fix gender on what is the creator. The creator is androgynous. We have to fix the both male and female gender to the creator, because the manifestation of divinity cannot be restricted to a gender, a particular gender. So those who did that were because they had a patriarchal culture. So they had a patriarchal culture where man was the symbol of God and the woman was the symbol of evil. So that has to be destroyed. It's a myth. You see, the divinity is complementary. It's male and female together. Now, we understand the feminism that's going on in Europe also, which is toxic. We try to make men to be women, women to be men. So that is a European concept of the feminism that they are bringing. That's why the Africans culture needs to come in and clarify its role. Otherwise, our women now begin to see men as evil and begin to react towards the men, and the marriages become difficult. So it's important for African to make it clear to the young men out there and say, look, the woman is not your slave. The woman is not your servant, and you are not a dictator of your house. You guys are playing complementary role, different but equal. And in this different but equal agency that you guys are trying to build, is respect. That is the key role there, is respect. You are not a dictator. You don't wake up in your house, you have a woman, you are in a complementary relationship, then you take decision, then you don't want to be accountable. And you are the Lord God of your family, and you can decree. It doesn't work like that. That's oppression. There has to be that complementary relationship where there is a consultation, where there is an agreement. You guys make concessions when you do things. That's the way we have to tell our young people, because they begin to see, oh, the white people are the only one who provide an avenue to respect their wife. For us, African, it has to be an oppression for the women. That's the way our culture is. No, our culture has never been like that. It has never been like that. Our mothers have always been given opportunities to be in businesses. They've been given opportunity to have their own farms. We find out all over. So they have never created a situation where they portray women as weak, as inferior, as non-intelligent beings. Those are neo-colonial stuff that we picked up, and the people we picked it up from, they have even changed. Because the European of today, they are moving away from the religious concept of what it is to be a man or a woman. They are now moving to a secular idea where a constitution or law or parliament now decide what it is to be a man, or what role should a woman play. So we should not sit down and see that our culture will be discarded in the dustbin if we do not confront this reality that is coming. of an equality between men and women. It is a reality that is coming up. So we have to confront it. And for the African, it has to be very clear, it's a complementary role between the man and the woman. If the man is the provider, then the woman has a responsibility at home. If both of them have a job, then there has to be an agreement of how an hour of household things should be taken care of. They have to make concessions and an agreement and understanding. There should be no one dictator in the house who decides, who cut the shot, and everybody shut up. If that happens, then there is oppression. Then when there is oppression and somebody is enjoying privilege, and one person is enjoying privilege and other person is under oppression, then that is not a complementary relationship. And that's why all we men, we enjoy that privilege and we want it to continue. We want to be on top. But it is not always ideal. It is not always ideal because that is not the purpose of divinity. Divinity of God, which we are manifestation of divinity. Divinity is in both male and female. It's a manifestation of the Creator. So it is what we call our life. What we call our life is simply the manifestation of unseen divinity. And this divinity is appears in both gender. So there is no gender that is inferior to the other gender. That is be very clear in the head of young men so that they do not begin to replicate the mistakes of some of our older ones and begin to see their wife as a slippers, or when they enter into a relationship, they exhibit that toxic masculinity. They do not want to speak out. They do not want to have a table discussion. They do not want to sit down and have a discussion. They just want to use power, strength, violence to settle stuff. And that does not make you strong because you use violence, you beat up. In fact, for me, a man, when so-called, and you call yourself African man, and you beat your woman, I think you are weak. You cease to be a strong man. The day you beat your woman and then you assault your wife, you assault your girlfriend, you assault your fiancé, whatever, the day you do that, you cease to be a man. You cease to be a man because you've lost all the quality of on an African ideal masculinity, which is supposed to be security and protector of the family. Because that's the way the ancestors saw it, that you are security, chief security and protector of the family. Okay, but the power, the seat of power of the house is also on your wife. Okay, the wife is the seat of power because power is not necessarily strength. Okay, so she is the seat of power. You are chief security and you are the defender of the family. Now, what you are supposed to defend and protect, if you beat that and use violence on that, you cease to be an ideal man. You see, that's what men have to understand. Our strength is not supposed to be used to do violence towards our women. It was supposed to protect and provide shelter and make sure that there is no intrusion in our family. We used to be the sacrifice of our family. This is where you find the text in ancient Egypt, the deities that were the history of the deities, how they came to earth. The male deity were to present themselves as sacrifice to protect the family. They were to give themselves up for death in order for the family to survive. So the man is the role you play. You are at the forefront of the war and you are ready to take any bullet for the family. But when you turn around and beat that family and show strength, then you lost your battle, you lost your purpose, you lost your agency, your institution that you are protecting, you lost it. You see, this is why the toxic masculinity have to go. Men have to arrive to a point where we do not use our strength, our physical strength on our family. We have to now go upward. Okay? We have to go upward and use more of diplomacy, more of discussion, more of sitting down around table and finding solution. Because there is no solution in physical strength. It can only lead you to jail, it can end you in prison, or end you up regretting your entire life. You see? But if you sit around round table, whatever you cannot solve on a round table, you can never solve it with physical strength. Believe me. If you don't solve your differences with your woman on the round table, you will never solve it by going to give a punch or a blow. It will never work. Those kind of thinking should be discarded completely. Because when a woman walks into your life, she walks in your life as a divine principle of the Creator. You are divine principle of the Creator. So when you both come together, there is the divinity that's been manifested. There is something wrong with my streaming, and it's been stopped. I don't know what happened. I don't know if Anthony is here. They said my streaming has been stopped on Facebook. Anthony, I don't know if you are here. Something is wrong with my connection. Anthony?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, they said I'm off from Facebook.
But continue on the broadcast. I will work on it.
Okay. So definitely that is the toxic masculinity. Men we have to rethink our relation, our way of living, and our way we relate, the way we relate to the world, the way we relate to our opposite sex. Because we ourselves, we suffer. Because sometimes we carry this pain. We carry a lot of stuff in our heart. We don't say it out. Because we say being a man is for you to carry a lot of pain and you don't speak out. Sometimes something is wrong in the relationship, but you are taught not to speak, not to sit with your wife and say, look, I'm going through this pain. You just bear the pain. And that pain begin to transform into a negative energy. And the day you pour it out is violence. So that's why, but women, as soon as you do something wrong with them, they speak out quickly. They say, tonight, no sleep, we have something to talk about. They want to talk because they want to let it out immediately. But we are taught to keep the pain, to be silenced in our misery, to just act like everything is okay. But we are dying inside, and we are just acting strong. And eventually you hear, oh, this man have heart attack, he died. Oh, this guy was going to work, he just fell off and he didn't make it. What happened? A lot of pain. There's no way. Don't see a counselor. You are a man. You know, something is going on with you. You don't want to. Your certain addiction is disturbing you. You don't have to seek counselor. You are a man, man. Keep on. There is nothing like that. You have a heart. There is no bone in the heart. Okay. Men also cry. Men also feel pain. Men also feel emotion. It's okay to feel to be emotional as a man. There is nothing degrading about that. See a counselor if you may. If your life, you feel something is not going well, check yourself. Don't sit and pile up all the pain, pile up all the anger in you, and the day it busts out, even all people around you, they feel the pain. That toxic masculinity, that being tough in the face of everything without you using even your brains, being tough even when it is time not to use toughness, to use diplomacy, is not a ideal way of living. We have to be human sometimes. We have to come down and be human, and then understand our opposite sex, and understand the other side of the story, so that we can have an ideal family. I believe this is the African side and how we look at things and how we should be able to approach modernity. And with this family institution is about to change radically, we have to look at it at that. We will discuss toxic feminism as well next week. Now I will have a guest on the show so we can look at it from the women's perspective as well, because there is a toxic femininity of women wanting to be men. We will discuss that as well. But here is the men aspect that we are dealing with today, that men should learn to be human. Let's be human. And being human simply means having the moral character to live with people around you without you imposing your own anger, your own frustration on other people. That doesn't make you a man, and that doesn't make you intelligent. Okay, pass around and just be that rock, that bad guy that people have just praised. No. Successful and powerful people don't go around showing their muscles. They use their brain, the control agency. You know, the strongest raised on the earth, physical strong, is the black man. Physically, you see it in the boxing, you see it everywhere in all sport. We are physically strong. But are we the most powerful in the world? No. We are not powerful because power control agencies. What agencies do we control? The white man is in charge of science and technology. The white man is in charge of our education. The language I'm speaking today is the language of the white man. Okay, they take everything away. Is he physically stronger than us? No. One-on-one, he can't. But he has power, mental power. He has power and the power control agencies. So why don't we use that same ideology even in our families? Instead of using the physical strength, let's go with using the approach of controlling power, making sure that build a powerful family institution where both people have voice. The woman have a voice, you have a voice. It doesn't make you less of a man. It doesn't make you, it actually make you stronger because now you're sharing ideas. Now instead of one head, you have two heads. Now there can be contradiction. And when there is contradiction, there is new idea, there is concession, and there is a new understanding of issues. This is what family was supposed to be about. This is what our ancestors intended, for the family institution. It was not to have that one guy who take all the cross. He's just in that family. His head is high up. He doesn't share ideas. He just go to work and come back and he sleeps. And when you talk to him, he yell. And everybody is scared of him when he's coming back from home. All the kids are hiding under the bed. That's trying to be a monster. That's not it. That is not it. That's toxic masculinity. The family should be thinking that you should come home when you are not home. They should be calling, have the kid should run to the door when you arrive home. That's when you put your masculinity to test. When you are arriving home and the kid do not rush to you, something is wrong. You see, I'm tough on my kids so that when they hear my voice at the door, they run. No, that's not being tough. When they hear your voice, they should run to the door. They say, Daddy is here, our father is here. That's an ideal African man that we want in this century. You see, that's not acting white. That's not acting European. That's acting African. Because for us, the institution of family, the man should have a very big role, and the role that you are playing is protecting the family along with your partner, not without the partner, not excluding the partner. It is togetherness, the divinity. That's why I insist on divinity, because when you read the pantheon of African gods pantheon, it's male and female, divinity manifesting, male and female, divinity manifesting. So in the absence of the divine female, the male is incapacitated. You see, before I move on to the next question, there is a story of the Dogon people of Mali. So when they say when God created the heavens and the earth, in their mythological story, so God created everything male and female as twins. He said, go to the world as brothers and sisters and multiply. Go for all the animals and the plants and everything, male and female. Then he created another creature he called a white fox. So this white fox, which is called Yurugu in the Dogon language, Yurugu was created without a partner. It was a white fox. So the white fox was released onto the earth. So it went round the earth. It found every creature with their equal partner. They are having either argument or they are having discussion. Some are having fine time. Some are having argument, trying to settle and share idea. And this Yurugu was alone. Yurugu began to be strong and said, look, I'm all alone. I'm all right. I don't have nobody to discuss. I think I have to be tough. He tried to be tough. Instead of going back to the creator to ask, he tried to be tough. He pumped himself for some time. He was all alone. Then anger began to set in. When anger came in, frustration came in. When frustration came in, then he looked at life. He said, life has no meaning. Then he went around to his mother. His mother was earth. He tried to kill his mother. He destroyed the planet. He went around looking for everything that does not look like him. He tried to destroy it. So God said, you see, because he is not complete. He is an incomplete being because the other part of the divinity is missing in him. So he cannot be productive. He cannot produce life. He cannot have joy and happiness because there is something missing. So the Creator saw to it that the Urugu had a partner. So what does that say? It tells you that a divine being where we are incomplete without the opposite sex. It is a divine way, that a formula that the Creator created. So now you cannot oppress the other formula. This is part of it, a part of you. You see, it's like cutting off your right hand because of your left hand. That's not going to happen. You see, that's why we insist on complementarity. We insist that there should be that divine relationship between the man and the woman. So with this changing of family institution that is coming, the black man and the black woman have to understand that we should go towards complementarity. We should build our own family institution based on that basic understanding that we might be different in terms of sex, but intellectually we are the same, and we need to share responsibility and give each other mutual respect. That's the only way we can build a strong family institution, and we can have stronger men in our society who use their intellect instead of their physical strength, which can lead to disaster. Next question here is, what is the ideal masculinity in African culture? So now Africa is very big, it's very wide. So when you mention Africa, people say, what culture is he talking about? Because we have so many ethnic groups, we have so many cultures. So people say, look, Africa is so big. Well, you cannot make a blanket statement and just say Africa. Well, you see, our scholars have done a good job. Scholars like Teofilo Obenga, Sheikh Anta Diop, Ahmed Pateba, they've done a great job in doing what they call cultural unity of Black Africa. They've gone around and searched on every culture, in every tribe, and every ethnic group, and they've compiled our culture, our worldview, our expression. They find out that there are 80 to 90% similarity. And these similarities are more than the differences are very, very insignificant. The perceived differences that we know we're talking about, they are very, very insignificant. The similarity are more. And even went ahead, even with our languages, the so-called languages we think that are different, we are calling tribe and tribe. When you do linguistic study, you find out that most people are speaking the same language with different tongue. It's like an Italian not understanding a Spanish guy, but both of them are speaking Latin. You see, the French guy is not understanding a guy speaking Italian, but they are all speaking a dialect from Latin. So when you do that for Africa, you find that the entire Liberia, for example, there are only 2 languages there. Just 2. Where you will say this place, there are only 16 languages, actually is 2 with different tongues. Then you go to Nigeria, you say, oh, there are 700 languages. No, you find out that there are just 4 or 5 languages with different tongues. So we will come to that in the future when our science really develop and our educational institutions develop. But for now, it's good to understand there is cultural unity. And in African cultural unity, we find out that the ideal masculinity is explained in the story of Osiri in Kush. Kush is an empire that Africans built thousands of years ago before it broke down and then produced little kingdoms. In Kush and Kemet, it was stated that the first man that was created, he was created with his wife, and his wife was Aset, and the man was Wasire or Asa or Osiris. There are different pronunciations for this name. So the man, he was a king, and the lady was a queen mother. So it happened that he died. He was killed by his brother, and his body was cut into pieces. But the body was missing. It was thrown into the river, and the wife had to go to look for this body, put all the pieces together, and then embalm this body and pray to God to resurrect this body. So God said that, well, the body will not resurrect physically, but it will resurrect spiritually. And when it resurrects spiritually, you will now give birth to a son. So that story is very long. I won't go into it. But what does it show us? It shows us that this man that was killed, he was a protector of his family. He was a farmer. He was a provider. He was a king. And by the same time, He was the chief security of his family. He protected, he did everything. He gave his life for his family to survive. But he put his wife at the highest throne of the family. He said, the throne belonged to my wife. Even though I am the king, but she sits on the throne. So whenever they portray the wife in the image, you see the wife has a throne on her head like a chair. So it shows that power in the family, actually, what many people don't understand the African culture, is a matrilineal culture or a matriarchal culture. So in the matriarchal culture, the power is actually in the hand of the woman, but she doesn't exercise it. She gave authority to the man to exercise the power. What does that mean? It means, for an example, in the family, the woman, for example, she is in charge of finance. The man bring the money and say, look, here is the money. But then now what do we do next? And what? And the woman said, okay, we are going to do this. She has the power. She will give a lot of advice. The man will execute the plan. He execute the plan. The problem comes when the man takes both the power and the authority. He combine all together and say it belongs to him. He said, I have the power, I have the authority, and I will do everything. Then the woman become a servant and become a slave in the house where she was supposed to be queen on the throne. This is where the problem. So the ideal masculinity is to put the female on the throne as the queen mother. And you act as the chief security, even though you are king, but you act as the chief security and protector of your family. Then because you've given her the throne, because you abdicated and gave her the throne, she now in return gave you authority to now exercise that power. This is the way the complementarity works. It is not in other way, the way the Western world try to portray it, in a way either the woman is all powerful and disrespect the man, or the man is all powerful and disrespect the woman. No. The woman is the seat of power. She sits on the throne, but she does not exercise the power. She gives you the authority now and said, do this now and protect the family. You now exercising the authority. But when you abuse the authority, it's just like in democracy. Power belongs to the people. But are there people in the White House or in the mansion exercising that power? No. The people vote. But when those guys are going in power, they can decide to abuse the power. They can decide to subvert the Constitution. They can decide to commit a lot of crime. But the power actually belongs to the people. Those people that you are looking at that look helpless on the street, pushing wheelbarrow, have no food. They are the owner of that power in the executive mansion. They are the true owners of the power. But because they delegate the power to competent people, then those competent people might miss you. That's how family look like. The power is the woman. Every black man hear this today. And it is not in being sympathizer to European culture. No. The power in the African understanding is in the hand of the woman. But the woman, like in democracy, does not exercise the power. She delegates the power to you as an authority to exercise it. So you give respect back and love and care and honor back. That's what you do. You don't come back to that queen on the throne and beat the queen on the throne. You don't do that. Then you lost the power. You see, that's what we are talking about. You lost the power. It is like a president, when he abuses the Constitution, his legitimacy now is questioned. Even though he still have the army, he can do what he wants, but the legitimacy is no longer there because the people that put him there now question his authority. When your woman questions your authority, you are in trouble. You see, when you go out there and preach and your woman question your genuinity, she question your authority, she question, or you go out there, everybody say you are a good guy, and they ask your wife and she shake her head, you know that you are in trouble. Your legitimacy is questioned. You see, when you go out there and be a good religious preacher, and when your woman say there is a problem, you know everybody will know, believe it that there's a problem. So your legitimacy is from there. You see, you have no legitimacy as a man until the world, even as a boy in the house, your legitimacy is your mother. You see, when the mom say, yes, It is like this, then people believe it. When the mom say, I don't trust that my child, you know that there is a big question mark on you right there. There is a big question mark on you right there. If your mom say, I cannot give blessing to this child, you know that you are in trouble. Nobody's going to trust you. Even your friends say, your mom said this about you. That's where your legitimacy is. So the woman is the seat of power. That's where the throne is. That's where we go to get legitimacy. You see? So when we understand that logic, that African logic, then we will now see that the toxic masculinity doesn't help. The respect we have to give back to the female. We have to honor the female. We have to give that respect. Our physical strength should be used to protect, and so that we can gain power, mental power, to be able to control agencies. But when we use the physical strength on the queen on the throne, the person on the throne, then we lose legitimacy. We lose legitimacy. So every man out there that practicing toxic masculinity, that James Bond guy that can march in the house, everybody run away. Where is my food on the table? Bam! Doesn't make you strong. It just make you some kind of insecure, weak guy that is looking for validation. It doesn't make you no strong at all. It just make you weak. When you are a real king who has been given legitimacy, things will be in place because there is a mutual respect. And if the queen who knows her place on the throne, she doesn't want to lose her throne. She doesn't want to lose that queen motherhood, that she's on the throne with all the respect. Then she makes sure that the person she gives legitimacy, she supports that person. She gives support to you because she gives you legitimacy. You see, that's how it works. That's what we call it complementarity. We don't say equality. We avoid the European equality because that has a lot of baggages in it. We go for complementarity, and complementarity must be understood on the ground that is mutual respect. It's mutual respect. So I will take a short break, and when after the short break, I will come back, and then we will discuss complementarity and inequality. Then before we go, I think that will be the last question. So I will take a short break now, and I will be back later. Please don't go away. I'm sorry we have these glitches here and there, go off and on, but we will fix it. I will take a short break, and I will be back in a few minutes.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
Thank you very much. You are watching Focus on Liberia. This is Roundtable Africa, and I'm your host, Sekou Kele. I'm discussing an interesting topic here today, a very controversial topic, toxic masculinity. And it is all about men and the expectation of society on what it is to be a man and what a man should be like and what a husband is supposed to be, an ideal husband is supposed to be. And that's what we are discussing, how this concept has been used to oppress men. And men also have used it to oppress people around them because the idea is toxic. The idea is for hunter-gatherers. It should not be used today in our modern civilized society where we are trying to move forward to build a very vibrant society and culture. And we are using our African culture as a premise, as our reference to be able to create this new dynamic way of thinking in building families and building relationships so that men do not see themselves that they are some kind of Rambo in the house that is passing around, shooting around, or passing around as some kind of villain, but they should be in their own home as perfect, as men, as normal humans, as normal people with emotions that are able to sit down and discuss and find amicable solution. That they are not James Bond, and they are not any kind of Rambo, but they are people, and they are dealing with people, and they should have solution that is based in truth, justice, and reciprocity. Now we're discussing the question: equality or complementarity? This is a very controversial subject, like I said in the beginning. And whenever we discuss in this kind of topic, feminism, or we discuss in toxic masculinity, there is always the issue of, should we go for equality or we should go for complementarity? Now let's deal with what equality is. To understand what equality is, you have to go to the feminist movement or the women's suffrage movement in the West, because it has a history and it has its players in that historical reality. So in the West, the woman was not considered a human being, or I would say she's not considered equal to a man. So women could not vote in the LA West, even in the United States. Women could not vote. Women could not own property. Women were considered even property for the men. So that when you marry a woman, she leaves her father's name and take your name because it's your property. Just like if I bought a car, I changed the documents and I put my name. So if her name was Sarah Johnson and my name is Will Smith, the day I marry Sarah Johnson, she becomes Sarah Smith, because now it's my property. I have cleaned her father's name and now I am the owner of this property. This is the Western ideology. In this same Western ideology, the woman was considered intellectually inferior, so that she could not play a certain role until Queen Victoria in the UK, who took over in the 1700s. Women were not allowed to sit on the throne in Europe, anywhere. They were not allowed. So this oppression of women has reached its highest level in the Western world. They were the pioneers when it comes to oppression of women. Women were considered property. They were considered mischievous beings. Even when it comes to witchcraft, women were always considered to be the witches, and they were burned on the stake, and a lot of evil things happened until the women rose up. When the slave revolt were happening, women used that opportunity, Western women, and said, we have to also vote. We have to participate in the electoral process. We are human beings and we need equality. That's where the word equality appeared. Where were they saying? They were saying we have to have similar rights as our men have in the society. So in order to fight for this equality, they were now portraying themselves as men, dressing as men. You will find pictures of these demonstrating women in the suffrage movement smoking cigar on the street, things that women were not allowed to do. So they were doing these things that society were only allowing men to do on the street. They now started doing it. So that in order for them to seek for this equality. So eventually the Western world collapsed this system, and women were now given certain rights. They were not allowed to vote. They were not allowed to own property. And the women are still pushing for this more equality, more equality. They said they need more equality, until this equality now came in face-to-face contact with gay movement, lesbian movement. So it has now been translated into something else, to a point women are now told in a marriage home, you don't need a man. Okay, in the equality setting, you don't need a man. You are a strong woman. Just get a job and be on your own, be by yourself. That's what a strong woman is. Don't give a damn for any man. You don't need man money. You don't need anything. So it has now become a new ideology, which is discouraging women from even getting married or trying to fix a broken relationship, or even trying their best to make a relationship work. We understand the pain of the white woman, of where they are coming from and what they've gone through in order for them to develop this ideology towards their men now. Now, when it comes to us as Black people, we have our own history, different from the colonial history when we came in contact with the white people. So before we came in contact with them, we did not have any concept that the women were inferior. We have always have a matrilineal culture. And the matrilineal culture say the female is the producer of the king, and the kingship go through the mother's bloodline. So we have a lot of female, even eventually when their child is still small to sit on the throne, they become the queen of the kingdom. They rule the kingdom until the child is of age to sit on the throne. Even when the child sits on the throne, the queen mother becomes one of the highest authority. She is the last court of appeal in an ideal African kingdom. When the king refused to do anything, people appeal to his mother. When the mother overturned any verdict, the king doesn't go beyond it. So the mother was like the highest court of appeal. Then eventually we have women sat down on the throne. I will mention names. Queen Nzinga ruled, okay, in the 19th century in around Congo area. Ruled empire, not a kingdom. We have even Queen Amarines that ruled the entire Kushite empire. Okay, and she had many dynasties that followed, females, Hatshepsut. There were many queens on the African continent that ruled not just kingdom but empire. So that shows that in our cultural reality, we passed the first test. We do not question the intellectual ability of women. Fine. Now the political area. Yes, we've also put women into political power. Now let's go to social and the family setting. There we didn't do too good. Then you find out that some men, because they are the provider of the family, at some point there was oppression. Polygamy came in. So there was a lot of area in our own country that did not go well. So we are now asking ourselves, we are faced with complementarity and equality. Which one should we pick? So our scholars are saying we should not go for the Western equality because our history and our reality is not the same. We did not do what they did. We did not consider women intellectually inferior. We didn't do that. Even though, yeah, we have our own shortcomings with the polygamy and other things that we have done before we came in contact with them and got the Bible and the Quran for them, and we became worse. So in order to fix it, let's go back to our complementarity culture, where we put the woman back on the throne. She is the queen with a higher power, but then she gave her authority to exercise our authority. That means we give her equal. If we want to maintain our role as a husband, we have to make sure that the queen gets the necessary respect, courtesy, and power that she deserves. And in order for the queen to also enjoy her throne, the people she gave authority to, which is the man or her husband, have to be giving respect, care, and also attention. When we go to that ideology, then we can fix our own society so that our women will have, yes, equal right, but without copying and pasting the European type of equality, which might have a negative consequences. We make our young lady not wanting to get married. Our young lady now say, I can't cook because we are equality now. I can't clean because we are equality now. So we don't want to do that. And we don't want a situation where the male too will say, I'm not supposed to cook if my woman is not around or she's not well or she's going to work. I am not supposed to enter the kitchen at all because in the role of the man, you don't cook. We don't want that also. We want a complementarity that where we can also assist. Even in the maternity, we can assist. When it comes to kitchen, we can assist. Or say we can assist always. The woman too can assist. If she have a better job than you, financially, she can assist, even though you are the provider. But if she have better income, she assists. Even though, yes, she's the mother of the house. But when she have a job that takes more hours than you to assist in the motherhood back home. So this is the complementarity we want. We do not want a European type of equality. We don't even understand its history and its beginning. We just want to cut and paste it, and we might have a negative consequence. So the complementarity is what the African scholars are saying. Young men, go for complementarity. Have the same intellectual capability. That's why marry a woman that you guys have the same cultural and educational understanding. So you give each other the true mutual respect. Don't be a man that have PhD that you are looking for a lady that never went to primary school because you want to oppress. So that because she cannot read, she cannot be able to question you. So now you are looking for someone who has never been to the primary school so that you can oppress the person. We should not have that mentality. We should be bold to go for educated Black women as well. We should be able to go for them and be able to sit down with them on the table and have a frank discussion. What should be an ideal African family? You see, we should not be those people that always cutting and pasting. When something happened in America, we practice. When something happened in Japan, we practice. No, we should always come back and have our self-reference. What does it say in our own context? And how do we explain it? When we do that, we will protect our young ladies. Then we can protect our young men. We have to stop this in our music. You look at our music videos. When you see a Black boy doing a music video, he needs 10, 15 ladies around him with a big chain on his neck, and he's sitting down and the ladies are cleaning his feet. That's the toxic masculinity there. That's not being a strong guy. A strong guy should be a king and a queen sitting on the throne. It's not a guy sitting down with 10 women around him. Some are putting the chain on his neck, and some. That's the image that we portray to the young kid. And they are seeing that, to be a man is to be able to control as many female slaves as possible. That is degrading. That does not show strong masculinity. It shows the weakness of our morality. It shows the weakness of our cultural value. We have to develop to black men who have one queen and that they respect and put on the throne, that they honor, that the queen also give them that respect as the king that having the authority. If we are able to get to that point, then we can produce the ideal African family of two divinity coming together to continue God's creation. This is what we want. This is what we want for Africa. So the toxic masculinity has to be in check, and the toxic femininity have to be in check. We have to create divine balance to create an ideal African family. No more muscle, mental power. No more muscles, mental power. Not taking scary daddy that enter the house, everybody's scared. No, I want when I come home, the kid, whoa, they hear my voice, they run to me. That's what I want. I don't want people running on the bed because I appeared. That has been very toxic. That's the negative energy right there, and they cannot build a prosperous home. Because society, if you look at every broken nation, it begins with family. Broken nations begin with family. If you see a broken nation, check the family. Check the family institution, what's going on. That's where it begins. You see, it's not those big government houses. No, it begins with that one man, one woman, and the children. That's where all the problems starts. When that institution is not okay, it leads to problems in a society. Then society is broken, then you cannot have a better institution. Institution broken, you can have a better system to govern the nation. It's not a miracle. You see, that's why here Europeans have the white people with their equality, even though it's an imperfect system, but they create it in a way that it works in a system. The ladies are protected, the men are protected, the laws are there to protect the women. You don't just give people pregnancy and you run away. And then you come back for the child 10 years later and say, I'm the father, and let us talk to God, and you forgive. I think it doesn't work like that. There's a system. They will follow you with your social insurance, you will pay child support, and you will know you will be forced to take responsibility. So we should take responsibility, and we should put the toxic masculinity away and confront reality and be real men and sit down on table and pour our emotion and talk. When we cannot solve anything on the table, we cannot solve it with blow and then the fighting in the wrestling ring. We cannot fix it. No family is fixed in the wrestling ring. No family. Family is fixed on a roundtable discussion. So I thank you very much for following Roundtable Africa today, and our African culture will remain the center of our discussion here. And we pray for young men out there who are struggling, who are going through a lot, to be healed. Talk to your fathers, talk to your mom, your young men. You are going through some sort of addiction, some sort of trouble with academics. Don't keep quiet and say, be a man. Speak to your father and say, I'm having trouble with my studies. I'm having trouble with my relationship. Let them talk to you. Don't be that tough guy for nothing. You're tough for nothing and things are going bad. Speak out. Speak out. It does for a boy to cry, it's not a crime. For a boy to explain his emotional problem, it's not a crime. Speak to your parents, speak to your guardians and say, I'm going through this, so that they can help you out, so that they can put you on the right path. When you keep quiet, it's going to kill you, and it's going to make you to be very toxic around people around you, because you are building a lot of pain and anger in you. And you cannot give peace to people when you have pain. You cannot give happiness to people when you have sadness inside you. It can happen. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you next week with Roundtable Africa, where we will dwell more on the feminine, toxic femininity, where we will discuss it, and where I hope to have a guest on the show who will also give the women's side of the story, because I don't want to speak for the ladies. I would love for a lady to come and also speak for the women, so that I don't become an expert for female while I'm not a female. That will also be disingenuous. So thank you very much for joining Roundtable Africa, and Focus on Liberia is always here to give you the best. Hotel.
We are Liberians.